Okay, now we're good. Here we go.
All right, so to backtrack on what we were talking about, we got started talking about ISIS and everything that's been going wrong with this country in the last couple of years, and how the threat of Obama that we see in ourselves,
Or things that could possibly come up. You know, nothing is ever guaranteed anymore, especially with all these rumors and disinformation that's flying around. Personal mottos, rather be safe than sorry.
Well, the thing with me that gets me the most about everything is how Obama's been taking this last couple of years and pushing to get a third right to be elected president again. And with that being the case, it scares me to a point to know what's going to happen next. Is he going to push for it, or is he going to just walk out of the presidency? Another thing that gets me is how they're trying to ban firearms completely, and they're pushing it in some states, and it's almost became illegal to own a firearm in most states.
Yeah, I've been reading up a lot. I keep up with the NRA news, and then I double check on a lot of things I post up, because having one source that could potentially be biased to one side or another, you always got to double check your facts, you know. And it's one of those things where it's like, my question is, what are you going to do when that little sign with a red slash through a gun saying no guns here doesn't stop the criminal or the terrorist who's coming over here who just does not give a shit? They're here to cause terror. They're here to inflict pain, harm, and fear in the hearts of Americans. What are you as a civilian going to do when that happens? Are you going to call up your local governor and say, hey, there's a guy here shooting up people and blowing things up? No, he's not American. He's here and he's doing all this craziness. What are you going to do about it? I'm sorry, I'd do something about it, but you took away my guns.
Well, like the biggest threat, and for us in the South, there's one thing we live by. One select rule that we live by. It's God, country, and then family. I am one person to state that those three things will never be taken away from me, and I will die fighting for them.
And I second on that. You know, I love my country. I'm willing to go in and serve my country in the military. I had a medical issue that prevented me from doing so that's besides the point. You know, if it came down to it, I would put my life on the line for the American way of life. I'd do it in a heartbeat. If someone today came up to me and said, yeah, we need you to be enlisted right now to go fight for this country, I would. I would fight for my family, hands down, whether it's my extended family or it's my blood family. I don't care. If I consider you under the term family, I'm going to do something about it. I'm not going to stand by while some hoity-toity politician over in D.C. sits there and has the, Secret Service, CIA, the FBI, and all them being able to bend over and wipe their ass for them. I'm sorry, I'm Joe Schmo, works at back of Walmart, I have to have some way of defending myself. Because I know the politicians ain't going to do it. You don't have a police officer that can stay in everyone's house at 24/7. The world don't work like that. Third Amendment as well, We do not have to house people or soldiers in our houses in times of war, which this is. If you think that we're not in a time of war, you are mistaken.
Well, if you keep up with the news and actually go through and follow it, you'll see that ISIS has been building up and building up and building up. And recently in the news, they actually stated that they're working with the Taliban now. And for some of y'all who don't understand and know, ISIS and Taliban are two separate groups. Them being now together, it's becoming more of a threat. World War III is on our hands, and
you also can't forget about Russia and the stuff they're doing over there too.
You got Russia and North Korea. All these communist people and these...
I'm not too worried about North Korea because they sit there and they float, spit, and sputter a lot, but they really won't react and do anything. Yeah, they'll talk a big game, but you got to remember all the allied nations. If someone like North Korea were to launch a nuclear device on any allied nation because of all the treaties and the United Nations, they would get nuked back into the Stone Age. You probably would not be able to go anywhere near North Korea for the longest time. They know that.
You say that, but China's already backed North Korea. If anything happens to North Korea, China's backing them. So right now you're looking at China keeping up with North Korea. And with China and North Korea, if they group up, with ISIS and the Taliban grouping up, also now have Russia, who's probably going to back them because it's a communist nation. That's the way of living for them. So they're going to defend their own, even if they're not, you know, blood related or anybody by means by that. It's still their way of life. It's just why, like the Americans, if anything happens to Britain or France, you know, we're going to back them 120%, and we've done that. But what's getting to the point of realistically happening is if people got that far in debt with the way of life, they will attack. And it's just coming down to when is it going to happen. It's here, but it's when. That's what scares us. And for anybody listening on the EJTC podcast, this is, you know, your input also. This is, you know, two guys that we watch what happens, and this is just us kind of just bullshitting around. But the truth of the matter is, it's y'all's opinion also that counts. Give us feedback. Give us what you want to know and what you want to hear. Because I'll do research on more to find out what is actually going down.
I'll always do research too, you know. Like I said, I'd rather be properly informed other than disinformed, you know. And right now, just to kind of a little sidetrack, him and I haven't done any research on this one really. We just kind of started talking, and I decided to throw up my camera while we were driving. We're going to have basically just having a road trip type deal, going to see some other family, you know. And part of the credence he just talked about, you know, God, country, and family. Here's the family portion. You know, we just got talking about it. We've been gone a long time. We've had a lot of personal issues going on, but we're back. We're coming back. You know, and the years are going to keep rolling by, and nothing seems to get done. We're a country that's spinning in circles right now, and it's bullshit, in my opinion. For the president of this country, he should be pushing us forward instead of in another circle. Yeah, so he may have taken down the Taliban leader once. Okay, there's another one to replace him as soon as he was gone.
Well, it's kind of like how we work with our presidency. If something happens to the president and he dies, the vice president takes his step. And if something happens to the vice president, the Speaker of the House takes the next step. It's a domino effect. There's always somebody behind. And for us to think that with us taking out Osama, that there's not somebody else taking over, it's happening. Yeah. And for us to think that, you know, we are the biggest threat to ourselves. We trained the Taliban back in the 80s. We trained ISIS back in the 90s. And now it's coming back to bite us in the ass. And it's the same thing that happened with Cuba back in the early 70s. It's a constant thing that continues happening every single time. We, as Americans, need to get our foot out of our ass and stop helping others and build our country back to where it needs to be. Our military is getting depleted for what? Because we're not in a time of war? I'm sorry. War happens. It happens every time we turn around and think we are safe. And that's exactly what happened on 9/11.
And you're really right about that too. It's like, yeah, we got lulled into a false sense of security, and someone who decided they didn't like us for one reason or another. That's all it takes is someone to sit there and go, I don't like you. I don't like what you stand for. So guess what? I'm now getting ready to throw this massive monkey wrench into your whole system.
Well, we'll go back to when in 1776 when we actually came over here and we broke away from the king.
Yeah, that was us being, excuse the terms, but they're going to be loosely used here. We were the local terrorists at that point in time. The revolutionaries, they were the terrorists of that time. We are nothing but a group of massive terrorists. If you want to go back to that time, that's all they were. They were homegrown terrorists that were fed up with the way someone else was thinking and pushing things and trying to run things. So guess what? They became homegrown terrorists. Yeah, you can spin words on them like revolutionaries. They were the rebels. They were the good guys. And point in fact, no, they weren't.
Well, society, you can look both ways.
I was going to say, in society back then, no, they were not the good guys. They were the bad guys to the crown, to the Brits, and to everyone else, because they were still very much British men. They were not Americans yet, because America wasn't there yet.
Any situation you look at, whether it be ISIS, whether it be the Taliban, whether it be us back in 1776, there's always two sides to a story. And anytime there's a debate like that, which causes war, both sides believe they are right. It doesn't matter what happened or what's going down. The ISIS, what they're doing, they believe is right. Beheading people on national TV. For them, they're the Gandhi of their time, or whatever you want to call them. They are doing this for a reason. And in their eyes, they are right. But in my eyes, and a lot of other Americans, it's wrong. But we are sitting back and watching it unfold for what? To wait till it comes to us again? I'm sorry. If it comes to us again, they're attacking here. They're coming here. And that is not something anybody's ready for.
Yeah, no, it's like no matter how much you think you're prepared, when something really goes down, what's going to be the first things hit? It's going to be, D.C. area, New York area, Chicago area, these big cities with these big populations, with this craziness. It's going to strike fear. And 9 times out of 10, most people are going to sit there and just watch. They're going to be so messed up that all they can do is sit back and watch. They will not know how to react. Shock will hit them harder and faster than anything else, that any conventional weapon. Shock and fear wins more wars than anything else. World War II, what won it? We dropped nuclear bombs. When those things hit, Japan immediately surrendered. Something that nation has never done. It surrendered. Its emperor, which the people of Japan had never heard before or seen before, surrendered over a radio broadcast because of fear.
For a lot of y'all out there who kind of want to believe that what we see on the news is all that's going on, I hate to say it, but you're stupid. For what's going on right now in other countries that I even don't know about is the threat of tomorrow for everyone.
Yeah, all it takes is some leader that has control of bombs or nukes or something to sit there and say, I want that to go bye-bye now. And then it goes. Just like 9/11. Were any of us prepared for 9/11 to happen? No, nobody was prepared for that type of tragedy. I'm not saying it's a good thing. We need to wake up as a country. When it hits, it's going to hit hard. It's going to hit like 9/11 hit again. And there's nothing nobody will be able to do about it when a plane is striking into a building, because you think, oh, I'm safe over here in America. I can sit around with my thumb up my ass and play, oh, I'm Mr. Good Guy by trying to ban guns because there's some crazy person went psychotic and shot up some people. Granted, no, that is not good. That is far from good. Trust me, I'm a gun-loving American. I own guns. I believe in the right to bear arms. Nobody should ever have to go through that.
EJ, since you brought this up, I'm going to say this. It's the same thing with drugs. Drugs are banned here in America. You got cocaine, you got meth, you got several hundred more.
Not to mention designer drugs.
It from happening. It doesn't. It doesn't matter if you ban it or not. The people that we are trying to get it away from are still gonna get it.
Whether it comes over illegally from the Mexican border, comes over from the northern Canada border, it doesn't matter. It can come in on ships. The ways it comes in is numerous. We never have any idea. From the people from the glamorized TV show of Breaking Bad, sit there, find an RV somewhere, go out in the middle of nowhere, cook the shit up, and then turn around and sell it. It makes them cheap, easy money. That's the whole draw behind it. It gets people high, it gets you cheap, easy money, and those people are going to keep coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back because they're hooked. They're addicted.
Well, let's put it this way. Right now in New York City, I can probably almost guarantee you probably about 75% of the people that own a gun, they're not registered. They bought them off the streets, and they're just getting passed around and passed around. So for you to sit there and state that you're going to take guns away from everybody, good luck. Because people aren't registering their guns. Because 1, they're afraid of where they're at. 2, that's why it's their protection. And 3, it's our right to bear arms.
That shall not be infringed. What's so hard to understand about that? Oh, because it's back in the 1900s or 1800s or 1700s when it was written? Sorry, I don't care. I still have that right to protect myself and my own property from anyone that wishes me harm. will sit there and say, oh yeah, but it's like, if they don't have a gun, what can they do? There's a lot a person can do with a knife, a baton. Blunt force trauma is one of the most leading killers of people. Go look up statistics. There's more stabbings and more beatings and more stranglings with someone's own two hands than there is gunshots, than there is killings. And also, when you're trying to ban something like the AR-15, you might want to start doing your research and look at the fact that it's more handguns that do more killing than it is rifles like that, because it looks scary. It's that fear factor. There it is again. I'll say it again. The fear factor. It looks scary. It's a scary looking weapon. It's designed to be a scary looking weapon. It's supposed to impose fear onto those who are looking down the barrel of it. You know, that's what it's there for. It's supposed to be able to make people turn away or throw down their guns and walk away. That is the purpose. And when you sit there and you think that the world is a safer place when you remove guns, unless you were to remove the entire knowledge of how to make a gun, remove the knowledge of black powder and gunpowder, and remove all guns from the entire world, think about that. There's over 7 billion people in this world. I can guarantee you I'm going to be a little moderate about it. A good 60% of people in this world probably own a gun. That figure is probably very wrong. I'm just going off of my best guess, so to speak. Just because, again, I don't have any research to look on it right now because I'm currently in the middle of driving my vehicle. But most people will own guns, whether they're registered, whether they're not. It doesn't matter unless you can remove every single gun from this world in a matter of seconds. Like, you can snap your fingers and they all just go poof, along with all the knowledge about them, what they were, how they worked, how they fire, how they operate. Unless you can permanently ban that information, guns are not going to go away. The only thing you can do is protect yourself. Because if you're a criminal and you decide you're going to go rob something, and you're one person, you're one guy, you decide you want to go rob one house, and you realize that that house is completely armed to the teeth, the house next to it is armed to the teeth, the people in that house know how to shoot those guns. You're not going to go to that house, you're not going to go break into that house.